back, everyone. We're diving deep today, exploring a passage that I'm sure we all know, but, well, it's also one that has some pretty surprising depth to it. We're talking Philippians 2.9:11.
Oh, yeah, the exaltation of Christ.
That's the one. And we're going to be using, a devotional text called Every Knee Shall Bow to help guide us. You know, what really strikes me about this passage, it's that Paul, he wrote this from prison.
Wow.
To a church, the church in Philippi, and they were going through some really tough times.
You know, it really is remarkable when you think about it. The context of this letter, you almost expect something different from Paul, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like maybe a letter filled with, I don't know, despair or even anger.
Yeah.
But instead what we get is this incredible message
Of hope and ultimate victory. And it's all rooted in this idea, in the exaltation of Christ.
Right, and to understand that even better, I think we need to kind of set the scene, paint a picture of what Philippi was like back then. It wasn't exactly a welcoming place for the early Christians, was it?
Oh, not at all. We're talking about a Roman colony here. And that meant serious pressure to fit in, to conform to Roman culture and their beliefs. So Christians, with their devotion to Christ, they were considered a threat.
Yeah, a threat to, like, the whole system.
Exactly, both politically and religiously. Imagine, try to put yourself in their shoes. Marginalized not only by the empire, but also by the religious leaders of their own time.
It's pretty incredible that the Christian faith not only survived in that kind of environment, but actually thrived. And that leads us right into Philippians 2.9:11. This idea of Christ's exaltation, God raising Jesus to the highest place. But this wasn't just a random reward or something, was it?
It definitely wasn't arbitrary. It was a direct result of Jesus' obedience, his humility. And that's where things get really interesting, don't you think? You have Jesus, fully God, right, choosing to empty himself, to become a servant, to die on a cross, even.
Yeah, it's almost like the opposite of what we'd expect.
Exactly. It's this paradox.
Ever.
The path to ultimate exaltation is actually through humility.
Wow. You know, when you put it that way, it really makes you think about how we often approach success in our own lives. We're always striving for recognition, for power. But maybe, just maybe, the real path to true greatness is in serving others.
You know, that's a really powerful connection you've made there. And it's something that's highlighted in the devotional. It quotes Charles Spurgeon, who said, let me see if I can get it right. "The higher the glory, the greater the reward for his humiliation." And that suggests something profound, doesn't it? It suggests that the more we're willing to sacrifice, to humble ourselves, the greater our exaltation will be, whether in this life or the next.
Absolutely. And then the passage goes on to say that God gave Jesus the name above every name. That's such a powerful image. What does that actually mean for us, practically speaking?
Well, I think it ultimately signifies authority. It means that every power, every being, every single thing bows to Jesus. It's a declaration that Christ's reign is universal, absolute, but it's not just some distant cosmic truth.
Right, it's not just out there in the stars somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. It has implications for how we live right here, right now. It shapes our lives today.
So then, if we truly believe that Jesus has this authority over everything, well, how does that change the way we approach our daily lives, our decisions, our relationships, everything?
It's a call to surrender, I believe.
Yeah.
And not out of fear, but out of recognition, out of acknowledging the way things really are. You see, just as Christ's humility led to his exaltation, our surrender, that brings glory to God.
That's good. Our surrender brings glory to God.
It's about aligning ourselves with his will, trusting in his plan, even, and this is important, even when it's hard, even when things don't make sense to us. It's about faith.
You know, and it's fascinating when you consider the Philippians themselves. They were facing such intense opposition, but they clung to this truth of Christ's exaltation. What can we learn from their example?
Their faith in the midst of all that suffering. I think it's an incredibly powerful reminder for us today. I mean, we may not face that same kind of persecution, thankfully, but we all go through challenges, right? We all have setbacks, moments where we just feel lost or despairing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the Philippians, their example, it encourages us. It encourages us to remain steadfast, to remain strong, because we know deep down that Christ's rule is eternal.
Yeah.
His victory is ultimate.
It really is so easy to get bogged down by the everyday struggles, isn't it? But this passage, it pulls us back. It reminds us to keep our eyes on the bigger picture. Christ reigns, and that changes everything.
It really does. And here's a final thought for you to ponder. Knowing the historical context of the Philippian church, knowing what they went through, how do you think their example can inspire us to live out this truth? to live out the truth of Christ's exaltation in our own lives, even and especially in the face of challenges?
Wow, that is a great question. Something for us all to reflect on, for sure. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone, and keep exploring.